Hello, it's me again, Jason. Just got out of the movie theater. I saw the movie Love Hurts, starring Quan and Ariana DiBose, and it's a mixture of comedy and action. Very short film, kind of gets you in and out. Decently paced. I would say I like the fact that we got into action scenes pretty early into the movie. Quan did a really good job in the movie itself. I thought he was definitely the star of the movie. To be honest, didn't really care for Ariana DeBose's character, Rose. I would say as soon as she got into the movie really slowed down. Didn't really, like the chemistry between her and Quan. You're supposed to have a romance. Didn't really work for me overall. The script really was not very good. There were some ridiculous scenes that kind of took me out of the movie, but the action actually was pretty well done. I thought it was well choreographed. It was fun. I liked the humor that was in the movie as well. Though I think I could have used a little more humor or a little more action in the movie to make it good. Overall, I would say I can't quite recommend it. It's close, but overall, I just kind of got a little bored at the end and a little tired of the characters and the action scenes and all that. So it's a close, but not quite recommendable for me. Hello, welcome to Jason the Old Millennial. My name is Jason, speaking to you here in my basement in the great state of Kansas. In today's video, I just got back from watching the movie Love Hurts. I watched it earlier today, and I did a little bit of my short review outside the theater. And yeah, I'll give a little more of my thoughts on the whole movie. I said, of course, as you know, if you've seen the trailer, Quan is the main character. He plays this real estate agent who has a past of working for his brother as like a hitman kind of character who's a very tough guy who has beaten up and killed a lot of people. But then he got away from that life and he started this new life as a real estate agent, and he doesn't want to go back to that violent part of his life. It's kind of a typical story we've seen a lot. I mean, we've seen a lot with kind of older men, actors who have a dark past kind of thing, like John Wick, like Equalizer, maybe even Taken, and then also like the history of violence with Viggo Mortensen. And we even had a movie like this just a year or so ago with Mark Wahlberg, had kind of a similar storyline. Yeah, so this is a very typical storyline we see many times. Not the most original idea, I would say. But the whole idea of the movie is more like the Mark Wahlberg movie, I would say, that I can't remember the name of. It's definitely trying to play into this action comedy. He gets into these action sequences where he's really good, and it's almost supposed to be kind of surprising because he doesn't look like a guy who would be good at action scenes, but then action happens and all of a sudden he surprises you. Of course, he doesn't surprise you because through the trailer, this is what's going to happen. But in a sense, it's like kind of this cool thing, like, oh man, especially with Quan, because he's a very small guy, and so he doesn't look like an action guy. So it's kind of fun when he starts doing action scenes, because you're like, wow, I don't expect this guy to be this really great, I mean, he's a martial artist, but still you don't feel like could really beat people up, especially people that are like 4 times the size. But he does it in a very convincing way because he is very good in action sequences. And that makes it kind of fun, the whole overall movie and the character and all that. Yeah, so you get a lot of that in here. And there's some comedic moments here and there. Nothing's super serious at all throughout the movie, even though there's supposed to be this kind of dark past. And it is very violent. It's rated R. Very, very violent movie as well. And yeah, so it plays into that whole storyline. And Quan, I think, is actually really good in the role. Like, I thought it was a perfect kind of role for him. Like I said, he plays very well as like the normal guy that you wouldn't expect to have this dark past. He plays it out very well because he's such a likable guy. Just the way he talks, he smiles, he's very upbeat. He doesn't look like a guy that you would think would have this violent past, and you should be scared of him. He's not intimidating at all. So that the whole character works so well with Quan. I think does a great job. I thought he carried the movie very well. He's also very funny. I think he gives off some really good comedic moments as well. Like I said, nothing's too serious. Even when there's these very violent things happening, they play it off kind of comedically for the most part. I actually quite enjoyed that. That part of the movie worked. I like the idea of this. And the reason why I wanted to see it, because I thought, oh, it looks like a fun action comedy, and I like those kind of movies. And if you can do the action well enough, you can have some laughs, I'll come away very happy with the movie. Uh, Now that's the well, I can get some more positives. That's the biggest positive I think is Q Quan, and also the action scenes and the comedy work well. I think the whole tone of the movie, I for the most part quite enjoy. A couple more positives, I guess. I'll before I get to negatives. There's an assassin character called Raven, and I don't know the actors. I think his first name was Mustafa something. I really like that character. He was a cool assassin character who fought with knives and also loved writing poetry. So it was a kind of a cool. I kind of like that. I like when you get a assassin with a cool quirk to him, and his quirk was kind of that he loves writing deep, dark poetry and read it to his victims before he kills them. So it's got that ham to it that I like. I'm fine with that. It fits with the tone of the movie, and that works for me. And he's just cool. And action sequences were really well done. And there's also these two goon characters that pop up throughout the movie. They kind of work for the main bad guy, and they're kind of a comedic duo in a sense. The one is played by Marsha Lynch, the former running back for Seattle Supersonics, who's done a lot, in TV and movies. You see him every once in a while doing stuff. He actually does a pretty good job here, but I love the comedic banter between the two goons as they're, going after Q Quan's character, Marvin, I should say his name is. And there's a scenes where they're just sitting in a car just talking, and I actually quite enjoy those scenes because it's kind of getting like there's more to their lives than just being hitman and killing people. And there's this kind of running thing about one of the guys, he's having trouble with his wife. They had a big fight. He got kicked out of the house, and the other guy's Marsha Lynch's character is trying to help him with his marriage and give him advice. And it's actually kind of funny. And even to the very end, they're still kind of every time they're around, they're still talking about, he's still talking about, oh, I'm gonna call my wife, before, I might die in this situation, and, tell her I love her. And they're having kind of this good moment of like, man, I'm proud of you, man. But then they go on, they try to kill all these people. It works very well. It's kind of a fun moment of the movie. Those two goons that show up and the action sequences are there. I do like that. I would say the pace of the movie at the beginning was really good. Within the first 10 minutes, we get this big action sequence in an office with Hugh Quan and Raven, this assassin. It was actually a really good action sequence to really, I think, set off to go, okay, the action is done very well here. Like I said, there's some very unique action, I think, done here. I think shot very well. I guess the director himself was a stuntman maybe or something like that. So, which does very well. I mean, we've seen in other movies like the John Wick series and that if you get a stunt guy who has experience with stunts and choreographed fights, he's very good at directing movies that have fight scenes. And we see it here too. The director, I thought, did a really good job. We get some pretty interesting shots, I think. Like in one scene, he put something in a microwave and you kind of see some of the fighting through, they put a camera like the microwave and it spins around during the fight. I thought that was unique. And also in one scene where he goes into a refrigerator and you can see from the viewpoint of the refrigerator as someone gets shoved inside. I thought that those kind of shots were actually very creative, and I enjoyed that quite a bit. So yeah, shot very well. I think action's done very well. Yeah, so there's some positives here. But there's a couple big problems with this movie that really hurt the movie for me. One of them is probably, I have to say, is Ariana DiBose, who plays this character named Rose, who like worked with Marvin and his brother in some capacity. And then the whole story is that he was supposed to kill her, but he doesn't because he's in love with her. And then she goes in hiding, and then he goes kind of in hiding to be a real estate agent. But neither one really go in hiding very well when you think about it, because if you're going to go in hiding and be disguised, go be a real estate agent where your face is everywhere on billboards and stuff or whatever. It's not a good way of hiding. And the Rose character, she goes and becomes like a bartender, like at a club, some rough biker stripper club. And it's like, she kind of runs this bar, and it's like, okay, it doesn't feel like you're being very, down low, like you're hiding very well either. I don't know. So there's a weird thing where I'm like, okay, they're supposed to be in hiding, but it seems like all the bad guys find them very easily and very quickly. And it feels like they weren't really hiding that well, and that the bad guys knew where they were the whole time. I don't know. So that whole sequence, that whole part of the story plot does not work very well for me. And Erin DeBose, I just never liked her as an actress. I never really cared for her much as an actress. And she won her Oscar for West Side Story. That really kind of, obviously bolstered her career after winning the Best Supporting Actress Oscar. And I didn't think she was that good in that movie. I didn't think she deserved an Oscar. That was one I'm like, I don't get why she's getting an Oscar for this movie. After she got the Oscar, of course, obviously she's going to blow up as an actress. She's going to get more roles and more opportunities. And then she goes and does movies like Argyle and Craven the Hunter. She's done some really bad movies. She hasn't really had any good performances or any good roles in movies. And even this movie, it's like not a big movie. It's just kind of a throwaway movie in February. Again, when you have a movie in January, February, it's usually a throwaway movie that couldn't compete in the bigger months. So, it's not going to be great necessarily because the month it's in for the most part. But still, Ariana DeBose, even this movie, I thought she was not good. I didn't care for her character at all. She didn't really fit the character that well, I thought. And a lot of it might be just, I thought it was a bad character. She's kind of a jerk character. She's not likable at all. She's annoying throughout the movie. Like, the movie I thought was actually getting pretty good for the first 15, 20 minutes of the movie. And then Erin DeBose's character kind of becomes the main part of the movie and is the main character throughout the movie with Quan. Once she comes in, the movie slows down. Like, there's a couple fun action sequences to begin the movie, like I said, in the first 15, 20 minutes, which set a pretty good tone for the movie. I'm like, all right, we're going to have a fun action movie that's going to move really fast. Once the Rose character, played by Erin DeBose, comes in, the movie slows way down, and there's this long period where there's no action, and it's not that funny, and it's just a lot of, exposition dumps and lots of, backstory of the characters, and the plot, that really get into the main plot of the movie. That whole part was kind of boring. There's not a lot going on there. And I have to blame a lot of that because of the Rose character. I thought it was just so terrible and just killed the movie for me. Towards the end, we get more into some good action sequences. So it ends on two pretty good action sequences. So it's like you got two in the beginning and two at the end, the middle part. Not very good for this movie. So that's when I was like, oh no, this movie, I was liking it and now I'm not liking it too much. And even the last part kind of was trying to bring me back to liking it, but I don't think there was enough at the end even to bring me from the slow middle part of the movie, unfortunately. So that was a big problem, I think, is both, I don't think Erin DeBose is a very good actress. I don't care for her as an actress. And she didn't fit this character very well, and I just didn't like the character. And yeah, major problem in the movie is that there's supposed to be this romance between Quan and Rose, or Marvin and Rose, and it never worked. The chemistry was not there. And we only know they're in love because they say they're in love with each other or something like that. Not to each other, but separately. We hear it as an audience member. And we're like, okay, I guess. I don't know. They don't show enough to make me go, yeah, I really believe these two fell in love at one point. It's just weird because you have this old Asian guy and this young black woman. And I'm like, I don't see that. What's the connection between these two? I just don't see it. And so when you get to the end and it's like they finally kiss and you're supposed to feel, oh good, they got back together or whatever. And it's like, I just never cared about the romance in the first place, so did nothing for me. And so when you're basing a movie, this whole movie takes place during Valentine's Day, so there's supposed to be, it's called Love Hurts, so there's supposed to be romance in the movie. It's supposed to be a big part of the movie. I think they really need that romance to work, and the romance could have worked if they would have fleshed out, I guess, their past together and why they fell in love. And I think if you had a different actress than Erin DeBose, I could have maybe bought onto that to some extent. But yeah, it did not work at all. That part of it didn't work. There's, like I said, there's a side story that also didn't work too much for me. There's like this assistant who's also very annoying in the movie of Marvin, and she like ends up falling in love with one of the assassins, and there's a whole love side story with her and the assassin. There's even some scenes with them that has nothing to do with the plot, and it's just like they're just like falling in love, and it's like, what is going on? Like, this doesn't make any sense. This is kind of coming out of nowhere. Didn't really care for that character. I like Raven. Sorry, I'm spoiling it. But I like the Raven character, but I didn't like the female character that was falling in love. it does come together at the end, I guess, where you're like, okay, so it does come part of the story, but for a while I'm like, well, this is a weird side story that I didn't need. And so there's some weird stuff like that. Overall, I think the story was problematic. I think the script was not very good. It was a weak script. That's a big problem of the movie, is that, like I said, it's not a very original idea for a movie, and I don't think it was a great script overall. And so it was a little messy. I mean, it's only an hour and like 23 minutes, so obviously they didn't have enough story to make a full, like at least a 90-minute movie, which even your short movies are usually 90 minutes. This is even shorter than your normal short movie. So obviously they did not have a lot of faith in the whole story, I don't think, to do much with it. Anyways, they're kind of just hoping for, I think, the action comedy to carry the movie maybe. And it almost does, but it doesn't quite for me, I think. Another big problem I have to talk about is a big pet peeve of mine in action movies like this is when you have a fight scene and characters are hitting each other and throwing each other around and doing all this violent stuff, maybe stabbing each other, there has to be a sense of danger. There has to be a sense of, oh my gosh, he might kill this guy, or he's really hurting this guy, and how is he going to get out of the situation? You have to have some of that idea. And there's an idea that you have to suspend disbelief in action sequences and believe like you can get hit multiple times and keep getting up or whatever. You can do that for a little while, but there's a point where you go over the line and it's like, I can't suspend my disbelief anymore. And this movie had a big problem with that, especially the second action sequence with Kwan's character, Marvin, and the two goons. They fight in this house, in this kitchen, basically this kitchen fight scene. And at the beginning of the scene, Marvin, Quan, is getting the crap beat out of him. I mean, they are really beating him up and throwing him around and hitting him in the head multiple times. Well, I'm thinking, there's no way he can get out of this situation. It's too unbelievable for me to think that he can get up after this beating. I mean, there's one part where I swear the guy like spikes him on top of like the counter and hits him head first, and I swear his neck like bends. And I'm thinking, oh, he's dead. He just broke it. The hero, he just got his neck broken. It looked like he just got his neck broken. He should be dead. But no, he gets right back up and keeps fighting and maybe has a bloody nose and doesn't really sell. And this is the big problem. When you have an action movie, you need to sell the action. You need to sell getting hit. You need to make me believe you got hurt when you got hit. If you're getting hit and you're acting like it's nothing, you brush it off and it's like, okay, I don't believe this fight scene at all. And that's a big problem. Like that whole scene had a lot of that, where Quan, it was just getting the crap beat out of him, and he kept getting up and kept fighting, and of course he eventually gets out of the situation. And the whole time I'm thinking, man, he didn't sell that at all. You have to sell getting hit, getting stabbed. He even gets stabbed in the back, like the back shoulder at one point, and he just pulls it out and he keeps going. And it's like, he gets his hand stabbed. He gets a knife right through his hand. Like his hand should be like, never be able to use it again. He needs very long surgery, to, keep his hand together. And he just wraps it around. He doesn't really yell like he's hurt. He doesn't really act like he's hurt that badly. And he just wraps it around. He's bleeding like crazy. I'm thinking, okay, he's going to die from the blood loss. But no, he just wraps it. I think he kind of cleans it up at one point. I don't know if he ever stitches it together. They don't really make that clear. But I'm thinking at the least you have to stitch that thing together, or like his back. I don't know. It's just like, these things should, if they don't kill you, you should be concussed. You should be knocked out. You should be in such major medical damage that you should not be able to go on. And I just can't believe it. And that really hurt the movie to me and kind of killed it from being a movie I can recommend, because I guess for me, I just have to have, you have to make me believe at least a little bit that this is real. I know I'm watching a movie, but like I like to believe like some of it's real. But when you're getting hit and you're not really showing any, struggle, it just makes it not fun for me. That's my opinion on it. And a lot of movies will do that. John Wick does that sometimes, and I don't like when John Wick does it. A good movie to watch is like the Raid movies. Raid movies, when people get hurt, they get hurt, and they don't bounce back up. And like I said, Quan, Marvin character is not a superhero. He's not invincible. He's not super strong. He's not, all these things. So it's so unbelievable that he keeps getting up after these fights. There's even a fight scene at the end where he gets in a fight with kind of the main big boss guy, and they get into a big fight, and the bad guy grabs a baseball bat and hits him right in the head with, I mean, full force, right in the head. That should kill you. Getting hit with a baseball bat full force, I would expect either kill you, concuss you, knock you out, and you'd be, I can't even think of the word, but you wouldn't be able to go on anymore getting hit once in the head with a baseball bat. That's a deadly blow. Your head just can't take blows like that. Your brain can't take it. And the idea that he got hit straight in the head with a baseball bat and then keeps getting up and fighting, I'm like, there is no way. Like, this is supposed to be a normal guy. I know he's a good fighter, but he's a normal guy. You can't just get up after that kind of hit. And I hate that kind of stuff. That's my biggest pet peeve one of my biggest pet peeves when it comes to action movies. Why action movies have struggled for me, except for like the John Wick movies and maybe Mission Impossible and like the Raid movies. Like I said, the action sequences were done well, choreographed well, but you got to make me believe people are in danger. That's the big problem here for me. And why overall I wanted to like this movie. The first like 20 minutes, I was like, oh, I'm really into this movie. I'm going to give this a good grade so far. And then the middle part, and then towards the end, it was too much unbelievability there. Too much, I didn't believe in the characters. I just think it wasn't a very good script overall. Therefore, I'm going to give it 2.5 stars out of 5, which is a light not recommend. So it's not a terrible movie. It's not horrible. It's not one of my least favorite movies I've seen. It's like almost recommendable. It's like, it's just this close. If they could have just changed a couple of things in the movie, there's a possibility of this being a fun movie that I would recommend and maybe buy on Blu-ray at some point. But at this point, I would not watch this again. I would not buy on Blu-ray. And I can't recommend anybody else to go out in the theater and see it right now. Anyway, so that's my thoughts on the movie Love Hurts. Please feel free to, in the comments, if you've seen the movie, what did you think about the movie? Love to hear anybody's thoughts, if you liked it or if you didn't like it like me. Where are you on that? Besides that, thank you for watching this video. Thank you for liking it. Thank you to all my subscribers for supporting the channel. I appreciate y'all and hope you have a good day.